Behind me here is a boat that we've been waiting a while to see. It was launched originally in the States because it's a outboard powered boat and one of the first from Galeon, the Polish builders Galeon, and it was designed specifically to appeal to the US market. But there's a lot going on here that's really worth a closer look. Now, the price of it is around about £350,000, including taxes, but it's actually a lot bigger boat than that 32-foot size might suggest. So let's take a closer look. Now, first up, you can see just how wide that beam is at the front. So even though it's got quite a narrow entry point down in the water, it flares out above it, so there's much wider bow than you give credit for, and that makes space for a lot of room on board. So even from here on the dock, you can see just how big that bow area is. So there's 3 seats down this side, there's a full C shape, you've got seats all around the front, you've got speakers in that foredeck bit. It's a really big socialising space for this size of boat. And you can see there's also these hull windows, so you get rather a nice view out of the water when you're even on board. But let's see if we can jump on board and take a closer look. So there you can see just how far those hull windows stretch back down the boat. And if we come all the way to the stern, you can see the outboards themselves tucked in under there. So there's twin 300 horsepower Yamaha engines, but there is actually a sun pad up over it. So when you're on board the boat, you don't really see them, but it is on hydraulic ram, so you can still tilt the engines upright, but you also get a nice big sun pad over the top of it. So let's see if we can jump on board and take a closer look. Hi. Thanks. So let's go straight up to that bow area first and take a closer look. And you can see that there is a gate that swings open to close that area off. And in fact, this whole part swings up too, so you can completely close it off and have full protection from the windscreen, but equally it hinges down. And you can get a feel just from the weight of that, how solid that is. So it's not a small, lightweight sports boat. It's a proper cruising boat that just happens to be powered by big outboard engines. And here's that big bow area I showed you earlier. It's a proper foredeck lounge. That's honestly as big as a lounge you get on some 50, 60 footers. And it's also nice and deep. You can see there's quite a deep well here, so when you sit down you really do feel like you're sitting in it rather than on it. And lots of nice detailing even on these cushions, and the Galeon embroidered in. And then the anchor locker, you can see how that folds over, and it's actually a through anchor design, so you can see the anchor going through the hull there, and lots of space inside for fenders and lines too. Close that up. And even on the hard top there's some lovely little details going on. It's like an air intake there that allows a bit more airflow through into, you can see it comes through, and you've got little opening vents there so you can direct the way that air flows, and gives a nice, so even when you've got all the windscreen closed up you get a nice flow of air. And you can see that they've actually filled in these side sections here, so again they're cut away so that it feels when you're standing at the helm that you've got nice open air, but it will also mean you get really good protection at the helm itself, so the air will run past you rather than into your face. Very substantial helm design. You can see the space for another screen there. They've just got the one mounted at the moment, and then very comprehensive selection of all the controls. So rather than it all being soft controls on a touch screen electronic MFD, you have actually got separate wheels for everything, including steering wheel up and down. Now check that out. You've got an electronic adjustment of the steering wheel. Not sure if it's strictly necessary, but it's rather fun. And then obviously you've got the wipers, pumps, navigation panel, all the different lights, white roof, white ambient, Kirsty lights. It's fully kitted up, this boat. Now while we're here, let's take a look down below, because there is quite a substantial cabin in here. So again, rather than it just being a lightweight outboard sports boat, it is a proper little cruising boat. So you can see that this dinette area here, there's got some of the cushions up, you can't really see the full size of it, but that obviously converts into quite a decent bed, and you can see folds out So you have got a lower dinette if you want to eat down below. If the weather's not great or take a bit of space, you can hide down below. And there's full standing headroom here. This is, again, not some cramped cuddy cabin, proper height. And the finish is very high end. Look at this. You've got the beautifully grained wood and little stainless steel inserts, and even things like the switch gear, the door handles, very substantial. And of course that leads into a proper heads compartment. Very clean, very nicely moulded out. Again, some nice detailing. I don't know if that's real stone, but it looks pretty convincing. Lots of veining going on there, and even on these little doors you can see very high quality of finish and lots of detail. It is a wet room, there's not a separate shower as such, so the shower is up here and you stand, so you will get a wet floor there, but it is a good size. There's good standing headroom here too, so it's nice and light and a decent size for a 32-foot boat. And then under the cockpit itself, and this is where that height of that freeboard really comes into play, because then there is a double bed tucked under the cockpit here. So there's not a lot of headroom down here. You can see even sat down here, I have to sort of squat down, but there is a decent sized bed, there's a bit of storage, and nice lighting, so even behind these panels you can see it's quite soft mood lighting rather than simple overhead lights. And let's go back up on deck. There's a fridge down here, and again a little bit of storage, proper breakers panel, and then out into the cockpit. And you can see there is a really good sociable spread of seating there, and this folding platform absolutely makes it all links up into that cockpit area and means there's a whole load of additional space, as well as the actual seating areas. Just look at that, it is completely transformative. And combined with this big wet bar area here, this big storage section there, more storage underneath, the big fridge here, plenty of space. And then this lifts up, it's on two quite firm latches that holds it in place, so it's not going to bounce around when you're out at sea. There's a sink, I'm sure you could put a barbecue grill there. And then lots of nice detailing, so all these grab handles you've got along here. There's another grab handle here, there's a little storage section in there. And then round to the helm itself, you can see these very substantial seats, big bolstered seating. They slide backwards and forwards, they go up and down, there's lots of adjustment. And even here there's little fold down armrests with built-in cup holders that just makes it all feel a bit more secure, a bit more substantial. And there's more cup holders by the helm. They really thought about spending time on this boat, not just herring along at top speed, but actually chilling out once you get to the bay. Very nicely thought out. And then there's that big sunpad area over the engines. It gives you somewhere to chill out and also keeps them tucked away. It probably makes them quieter still, but it does still enable you to have relatively affordable, powerful, very quiet, efficient outboard power, and of course tilt the engines up so that it keeps the propellers out of the water and causes a whole load less issues in terms of corrosion and other associated problems with fouling and so on. But that is the Galeon 325 GTO, and helps explain why it's a bit more expensive than most sports boats, because of all that size both above and below decks. Very interesting, very different design that really does work. Typical Galeon.